Hey, welcome back. So we are this week talking about predicting natural hazards. Last week, if you'll remember, you were talking about types of natural hazards and maybe where they occur. This is going to be specifically about data collection and taking that data to predict when a natural hazard could occur. So let's begin with our target. Our lesson target this week is I can use data to determine where future catastrophic events will likely occur and provide information about how people can stay safe during these events. So this lesson video is going to be specifically about the prediction part of it, and then the second lesson video will be more about how we can stay safe based on those predictions. I've provided in your Google Classroom week 8 that notes scaffolded for you so that you can just fill in the notes as you go along with this video. So make sure that you're taking notes as you go along in that document. If you cannot access that document and you have to do an offline thing, that's fine. Just be sure that you're taking very careful notes. All right, so I love this map. This map is not only pretty, but I think it's kind of fun to see all the flags. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. Big Bang Theory. He had the fun with flags. Anyway, yeah, totally Mrs. Carpenter, totally forgot. Anyway, so, but there's really cool places to live around the world. So, I mean, have you ever said when you went past someplace or saw it on TV that, oh gosh, I wish I lived there, or that place looks so cool. Maybe you're watching a video or a movie and you saw a place that you would love to explore someday. Well, did you ever consider what life is like in that place from season to season or from year to year? In different seasons, there are sometimes flooding. In different seasons, there are sometimes drought. In different seasons, there are sometimes blizzards. So when you go to visit during tourist season in Australia, for us, we would go there in the summer, but for them, it's winter, so it's mild. But in the summertime in Australia, they're in a drought right now. And so those wildfires that were occurring in the fall, which we probably don't even remember about at this point because of the pandemic, that was a catastrophic event due to natural hazards. So thinking about what natural hazards happen in different places is really important. So let's look at this one. This is an infographic from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And it's as you can see, it's the United States natural hazards, and they're all based on climate disasters. So as you can see in the US, natural hazards are all over, but large populations of people still live in these areas. So why do you think that is? How do they stay safe? And why aren't they afraid to live there? Well, fear usually comes from lack of information, and luckily scientists collect information for a living. So scientists use the information they have in the form of data to look for trends, and then they use all this information to make predictions based on what they know so that they can make recommendations for keeping people safe. An example I'm going to use is plate tectonics. So I am going to have you guys go to the content connections video in STEMscopes. So right now, after I get done with the instructions right here, I want you to pause and I want you to go to STEMscopes assignments, watch the content connections video for natural hazard predictions, and it's going to be the two videos are predicting earthquakes and predicting volcanoes. After you've watched those two videos and completed the questions after each one, please turn them in and come back to this video so that we can finish what we need to learn here. So at this time, you can pause and go to STEMscopes. Okay, thanks for coming back and checking back in with me. So I have a couple maps here I want you to look at. Take time to look at this map. Look it over really good. It's got different colors on it. What data is it representing? So it looks to me like it's a population density map, which is telling us how dense populations are in certain areas. So like if there's a large amount of people living in a specific area, then it's going to be darker on the map. So your key down here at the bottom says if it has over 1,250 people per square mile, then that's the densest that they've got. And it goes all the way down to under 2.5 people per square mile. So in those areas that are very, very light, those are the ones that are very sparsely populated or don't have a whole lot of people. So are there any trends in this data? In other words, can you make a clear assumption about places based on what you're seeing? So trends that I can pick out are that the population is heaviest in coastal areas and also in the old world or Europe, Asia, India, Japan, those sorts of areas where people have been living for a lot longer than they have in the United States, North America, and South America. So an assumption I could make about this map is that, and from the data that I get, is that on this world map, it shows the highest population areas are in dark gray. The assumption I can make from this data is that most of the highest density areas in the world are along coastlines, and then also in areas that have had organized social structures for longer periods of time. Here's another map for you. This is a different set of data. So I want you to write down the answers to the following questions. What data is it representing? A hint would be to look at the title. And are there any trends in this data that would lead you to make an assumption about the information provided? So can you see any trends or make predictions from the data that you're seeing? Okay, so this is an earthquakes map. And if you'll notice the lines that are on the map, do you remember what those are? Those are tectonic boundaries, so plate boundaries, the tectonic plates. And if you'll notice, there are some trends that are popping up along those lines. Okay, so get those written down. Now look at this map. This is, I can't tell you. So what data is it representing, first of all? And are there any trends in this data that would lead you to make an assumption about the information that's provided? So given all those little triangles and where the location is, could you make a prediction or assumption about the information that they've given you? Okay, now you've got all three of these slides, all three of those images of the maps that I just gave you. And you've seen the data from all three of them. So using what you know about the data in all three maps, I want you to write down on your notes what trends you see in the data all together. So if you take all this information about population density and about earthquake locations or frequency and volcanic eruption frequency, I want you to tell me some prediction that you can make based on those trends. And kind of lastly, just to follow up with like, how safe is it to live here? Well, we live in an area that has pretty calm weather. It's pretty temperate environment here for us. We don't get, excuse me, you won't get like a whole lot of tornadoes. Every once in a while, one will touch down in the spring or the fall up in the upper valley. But really, if you guys are familiar with the big one that has been talked about for some time, we are supposed to, or it's been predicted from data collected, that the subduction zone that's off the coast of Oregon is going to slip and it's going to cause a large magnitude earthquake. So they're looking at like a 9.5 magnitude earthquake. So that is a hazard, natural hazard that we live with every single day, and we don't really pay much attention to it. So we feel safe because, most of the time anyway, because the scientists have collected data, they've made predictions, and they have taken that and given us some knowledge about it. So we know what's about to happen, or it's going to happen at some point in the near future. And that with that knowledge, that can make us help be more prepared for when the natural hazard happens, and that will lead us to safety. So knowing that we should expect some sort of a natural hazard helps us to be prepared and stay safe. Okay, so here's the last. Again, we're going to end with our lesson target. I can use data to determine where future catastrophic events will likely occur and provide information about how people can stay safe during these events. So I want you to look at this part right up here. You use data from those maps that were the dots and the shaded areas and the triangles to determine where something catastrophic could happen in the future. So you have finished at least part of your lesson target, okay? On lesson 2, we will finish up with the second part on how people can stay safe during catastrophic events. So let's make sure that you guys have your notes turned in today. I want to make sure that after this lesson that you go over your notes, that you turn it in so that you get your 5 points for that. If you have to use pen and paper or pencil and paper, make sure that you take a picture of that and attach it and turn it in so that I can give you the points for that. And then also our grid that has come out is going to give you an offline option that is going to be mandatory for you to do. And I'd like for you to wait to do that until after you've watched lesson 2 so that you can make sure that you understand what we're asking you to do and can do it in a manner that is beneficial to you and that you can learn from, okay? It's beneficial to your family too. The online one that we want you to do is a STEMscopedia. So make sure that you do your STEMscopedia after this, read through it, learn some more, and then make sure that you answer the question at the bottom, which I believe is the Venn diagram. So you'll make a Venn diagram, take a picture of it, attach it to a document, and turn it in so that we can see that you understand what you're reading. Okay, you guys have a great afternoon or morning or evening or whenever you're watching this, and I will see you during small groups.